what interface should I buy? Now, there's not a kind of an answer to this where I can just say, yeah, buy this interface. This is a good interface, buy that one. You know, I use a Avid MTRX, and that's because I need various different channels for multi-channel and Dolby Atmos. So it fits my needs. I need two mic inputs onto it so I can calibrate the Trinnov, for instance. So it directly fits my needs. Now, the thing with what interface should I buy, I I could recommend that, but then that doesn't fit your needs. So it's all a case of what do you actually need? Because if you're only tracking, you're not tracking 16 channels, you don't need 16 mic inputs. You don't need to pay for all the 16 mic inputs, for instance, or 8 inputs or anything like that. You don't need all these different mic inputs. If a general producer is only ever really going to need 2 outputs, maybe 4, and 2 inputs, line and mic input, dual input type thing. That's all you're really going to need if you're just the average producer. You aren't going to need a big interface with multiple mic inputs, ADAT as well, SPDIF, all these different inputs. You aren't going to need all that. You just need something very basic. Now, it's more a case of how good are the converters in that interface. Now, majority of people who are, let's say mixing, mastering, you aren't thinking about mics because you're not recording. So why buy an interface that has mic inputs and preamps? You don't necessarily need those. So this is what I'm saying is it all comes down to what your needs are. So instead of buying an interface, you could, if you was on a budget of, let's say, 2K or something, you could buy something like a Ferrofish, which gives you an A32. I think they're about 2,000, 3,000, something around that. But they give you 32 channels of 32 in, 32 out, and that's a lot of channel count there. That's more what you need to be looking at. If you're a mixing engineer and you want to be summing out the box, you want to be coming back in, you want to be having inserts to EQs, compressors, all these different things, that's where you're going to want to utilize conversions. So there's no point paying loads of money for preamps that you're never going to use on an interface. Get basically a converter that is just going to convert audio from analog to digital, from digital to analog. Then what you're actually spending your money on are converters. You're not spending the money on the preamps that you're never going to use. Like I say, I need the preamps because I need preamps to do my room calibration. I also do a little bit of recording in this room for samples and stuff, only because it's such a great sounding room. So I need all these different things for my interface. So that's why I chose this interface. Whereas for you, you need to actually figure out what you need. So if you're tracking, for instance, getting yourself an eight channel interface with 8 channels with the ability to use ADAT, for instance, and extend the channel count to 16 or extend the channel count further up. But ultimately, you're fitting what you want into an interface. So really kind of before you go and select an interface and before you kind of look at an interface is actually work out what you need. Do I need preamps? If it's no, then don't get an interface with preamps. Spend that money wisely on just converters. Do I need, I don't know, UAD chips? Do I need that? Do I need that processing power? Do I need any DSP power? And ask yourself all these different questions before you go and select your interface.